Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm out at the range just doing a bit of a range day, but I wanted to bring out a brand new rifle. This is the H&K MR762 A4. Now we did do a video previously on the MR556 A4, which is basically a 416. Well, this is the 417, and this is the most current version available on the US civilian market. It's basically an AR-10. So we've talked about MR762s in the past. I have an MR762 precision rifle, and that's the only rifle I have, but it's really the same exact thing. It just has a different optic on it, comes in a case, and some other accessories, but it's really no different than just a standard MR762 A1. This has a number of modifications done to it. We did, as I mentioned, the previous video with the MR556 A4, and we talked about a lot of the features, and all those features that are on the 556 version have now carried over to the 308 or 762x51 version that you see here. We'll briefly touch upon those and do a little shooting with this rifle, but I am really interested in this because this is probably one of the more modern AR-10s out there right now. It still uses the old school footprint, which is the full-size upper and lower receiver. We've seen the DPMS type stuff, like the G2 stuff that kind of trend set and started shortening the actions of the AR-10, some of them being so short, in fact, that they're about the same length and size as a 556 upper and lower. But this rifle doesn't do that. So we're going to delve deeply into this, the features of it, do some shooting with it, and then in a future video, I may actually wind up comparing this to the new SIG. The SIG Spear is one of my favorites in 308, but also now in 6.5, or I'm sorry, 6.8x51 as well. But how would that stack up? And if you guys want, let me know in the comments down below. I can also do a comparison between this rifle and the SCAR. And I can even do a comparison of all three in one video. Just let me know what you guys like to see in the comments down below. All right, with that being said, let's get started, do a little bit of shooting and kind of explore this new rifle. I've only had it to the range a few times, and I'm still in my evaluation process, but I wanted to bring you guys along for this because I know a lot of folks out there are very excited about this rifle. I have been, because I am currently running 308 as my go-to rifle, given where I live. It just makes the most sense. And this thing's really interesting to me. Does this mean it's going to replace the SIG, which is what I'm kind of using right now? I don't know. We'll see. Got a lot more shooting to do, and I'll bring you guys along for a lot of that. So let's get started with today's video, taking a look at the new H&K MR762 A4.
A lot of folks ask me, how can I get involved in the firearms business in that particular community? And one of the best ways to do that is to become a gunsmith. Every gunsmith I know is just overbooked with work. It's a very good living. And so if you would like to become a gunsmith, you need to go to a gunsmithing school or become an apprentice for an existing gunsmith. But Modern Gun School is an accredited college that also works with veterans in the GI Bill, where you can go and get a degree from accredited college in gunsmithing and then go out and start your own gunsmithing business, which I think is a really great option. Again, throughout my entire life, gunsmiths have always been able to earn a really good living, assuming they have a really strong work ethic. So please check out Modern Gun School. I do have a link in the video description below.
So let's quickly kind of go over some of the features of this beautiful new rifle. So it's big, it's heavy, and it's a 308. Now, it doesn't feel all that heavy when you don't have accessories on it. On top right now, I have a Trichicon Credo. It's a very nice variable power optic. This thing is beautiful. It's a 1:10x28, so it has enough magnification to shoot out to 1,000 yards at, man-sized type targets, not for precision, but certainly for defensive rifle purposes. So let's start off back here. So you'll notice that the stock is very similar. I gotta make sure I don't put my muzzle through the window here. The stock is very similar to what we have seen on the 556 version, so it's more narrow, it's less cumbersome looking, and it's definitely a nice fit. We still have the HK big thick buffer tube back here and massive castle nut, and then you'll notice that we have QD mounts here and here on the rear of the receiver. Nice touch. You're also going to find that this has ambi controls. So we have a selector lever over here, and this selector lever is the exact same size and profile as the right-handed version that's on this side of the rifle. So that's definitely nice for a left-handed shooter. You're also going to find that it has a forward assist and a brass deflector. So this is going to be a very left-hand friendly AR-10, because not only is the selector lever, get that thing to pop closed here so we can see the other controls, not only is the selector lever ambi, but we have a bolt stop bolt release right here that is also ambi. So you can push up on it with your finger and lock the bolt to the rear, and you can push down on it when you put a fresh mag in it and reload the rifle. So you have full ambi controls. Over here on the other side of the receiver, we have more conventional controls. We have a really enlarged paddle over here and a nice fence around it to keep it from getting accidentally bumped. So everything seems to be very, very nicely done. If you take a look at the fencing around the mag release over here on the right-hand side, same thing. It's designed to keep it from accidentally getting bumped. Over here, we have a mag release on the receiver as well. Coming out here, we have the M-LOK handguard. You can see the barrel nut that's showing through right here. Then we have QD mount right here. And we have a QD mount right here. So the QD mounts are smartly located. Many times you're going to find them on the, in like end plates back here where the sling's going to hang down, interfere with your pistol grip, things like that. They've moved them up here, got them out of the way. I don't like mounts. I'm going to stick this to the window. I don't like mounts back here, although you do have a slot for just a conventional strap sling back here. I don't like them back here. I like them forward so they don't get in my face or up on my hand when they're on the end plate, things like that. So nicely done on those. We have a 1913 rail across the receiver. Then we have a gap here. And then it comes out here to the rail section. And we have an adjustable gas regulator here. So we have a 2-position gas regulator. So presumably for suppressed and unsuppressed shooting. Has a nice moderate profile barrel. And then out here we have a conventional, I believe it's a 5/8 by 24 thread on here. We'll have to double check on our next video. But I'm pretty sure it's just a standard 5/8 by 5/8 by 24 thread pitch here. So that's really, really nice. And of course, have an OSS silencer out on the end. It uses its same magazines. So the magazines are available, 20-round magazines. These are not SR25 compatible magazines. They are their own proprietary mags. But we also have the HK style pistol grip here, and you're going to notice it's more like a BCM gunfighter. It's more turned down, so they've changed the profile on the grips. It's very narrow, good texturing, very, very nicely done. Then we have a winter trigger guard here that's enlarged for a gloved hand. So overall, everything seems to be really, really nice on the rifle. Has a nice deep black finish on all the parts. And we have an ambi charging handle back here. It's just really, really nicely done. And as far as AR-10s go, with just a red dot sight on it, it's going to feel fairly nimble. But keep in mind, guys, most AR-10s are pretty darn heavy. I think probably the most ergonomic and small frame, short frame, whatever you want to call it, AR-10, one of my favorites out there is the SFAR from Ruger, but a lot of folks don't like it because they went pretty extreme on the materials and how they created the bolt and carrier and stuff like that. But for me, they've worked really, really well. I have one in 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor, and they both run great. But this is going to be heavier than that rifle because, again, it uses a more conventional upper and lower. NHK, while they did put it on a weight reduction program, they didn't go hog wild. They didn't make it super lightweight. So anyway, the recoil impulse is really nice with that short stroke gas piston in it. It doesn't feel as abrupt as some that I've fired, especially in 308. So it seems to be nicely gassed, and everything about it just seems to be really, really well done. Today we're going to be shooting with some Federal 150 grain ball, and they do supply this ammunition free of charge to the channel. So I want to thank our friends over at Federal for doing that. I've been shooting this stuff since I was a kid, guys. This is some of the best ammunition on the market. They have great range ammo, like the American Eagle line, and then they have probably some of the best factory match ammo out there. So check out Federal. All right, so anyway, let's get started with some shooting with the H&K MR762 A4. Stunning rifle. It truly is. So let's go ahead and load her up here really quick. Let's throw 20 rounds in here. I have already sighted in the rifle. If you guys would like to see a video on how I quickly sight in magnified optics, we can do that. It's very easy to do on AR-10s and AR-15s. I usually can get the gun zero just in a couple of shots. Don't use bore sighters or anything like that. Laser bore sighters, in my experience, are just overpriced, and most of them don't really work all that well. We'll see folks come into the shop, and they'll buy a brand new rifle, or they have a brand new rifle, and they just want to get it bore sighted because they want to go hunt deer, but they have no intention of actually perfectly zeroing the rifle. They think that a laser bore sighting is just good enough, and then they go out there and either miss or wound an animal. So don't do that. If you do laser bore sight your rifle, go ahead and take it to the range and make sure with whatever ammo you're using, it's perfectly zeroed. because while it might hit a pie plate at 25 yards, it might not hit a deer at 100 or further. All right, so we got 20 rounds loaded into the magazine. The magazines are nice, right? We've seen these before, so you can see through them, so you can get an idea of how many rounds are remaining. The MB charging handle is nice. So the forward assist is down here, right? So it's really, really nice because a lot of times you're going to find with AR-15s and stuff like that, the forward assist is up here. These MB charging handles on the right-hand side are like right up against the forward assist, making it very difficult to access. That's not the case here. There's plenty of room to get in there and operate the rifle from either side. All right. Go for our challenge target down at 100. So the trigger on this is really nice. I'll get a trigger pull weight for you guys. But the trigger's a two-stage, so it'll come back, it'll hit a shelf, and then it'll break. And it's a very, very clean trigger. Pretty darn close to a match trigger. Go to 150. And the recoil is such that I can stay on my target with the optic. I can even increase the magnification. And I can spot my own target. Here's 200. Yeah, this thing's smooth. Double tapping a 100-yard target with a 308, guys. That's just so awesome. Yeah. Very, very smooth rifle. The OSS or Huxworks suppressors are really good choices for rifles like this because they reduce the back pressure. So, short stroke piston guns like this can be a little bit of abrupt when you overgas them. And so this will help reduce that overgassing and make the gun much more pleasant to shoot while also preserving your hearing. So great suppressors overall. I'm gonna let that can cool off a little bit, stick it out the window into the cold air, and then we'll be back to do a little bit more shooting. While we're waiting for that can to cool off, let's go ahead and take a look at the internals of the gun really quick. So I'm gonna drop the magazine out, make sure the weapon's empty. So the bolt goes to the rear, drop the mag out, just inspected the chamber, so she's good to go. Standard AR-10, just going to pop this rear pin so I can hinge it open. And of course, there's a detinted pin up front as well. If you want to separate the upper and lower, I'm just not going to do that right now. So then I just pull the T-handle back. There's my bolt and carrier. And there's my ambi charging handle. And go ahead and pop the recoil spring and buffer out here so you guys can get a look at that. So here's the recoil spring and buffer. And there you can see that the hammer has got a unique profile to it, the slot in it. Big old honking bolt and carrier. You do have two ejectors, hopefully it'll focus here. Two ejectors inside there. You can see where the short stroke piston taps on the face right there. And a little tap it. Yeah, and then of course we have our firing pin safety right back here. So overall, typical HK quality. And internally, it's not all that different from previous versions. So let's go ahead and put her back together here. That's one thing I've always liked about AR-15, AR-10. It's just a very, very easy firearm to maintain, field strip, all that good stuff. The basics can be easily accomplished with no tools. There we go. And there are some small parts in there at times on some of the rifles out there, but you don't have to get into all that when you're just doing basic field maintenance. You can just strip it down like I did here and just wipe it down, oil it, and put it back together, and that'll keep it working until you get into the rear where it's safe to do a more detailed disassembly. All right, good stuff. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed coming out to the range today and just spending some time out here with me, doing a little bit of shooting with the MR762 A4 as I get more familiar with it as we lead up to doing additional videos talking more about the rifle. As I mentioned earlier in the video, if you'd like to see a comparison to this and the SCAR, or this and the new SIG, Spear, or if you like a comparison of all three, let me know in the comments down below. I'd be glad to break those out and do a comparison, because those are the three rifles that I have probably the most interest in. I've always liked the 308 SCAR. Never had much interest in the 5.56, the 308, because it's super lightweight and extremely accurate. It's one of those rifles I've always liked. A few things I don't like about it, but that's true of all firearms. None of them are perfect in my view. But yeah, so the SCAR, this, and the SIG are really the three 308s that I have the most interest in. So it'd be fun to do that video. So let me know in the comments down below. If you have any questions about the MR762 A4, you can ask those questions down below in the comment section. I do try to stick around for the first couple of days after I post a new video to answer the questions you guys may have. If you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, the best way to do that is to become part of our Patreon family. There's a link down below. Also, right here on YouTube, you got the subscribe and thanks button underneath the video player you're watching right now. You can hit either one of those buttons and help support us here on YouTube in the age of demonetization. Thank you, guys, for 17 years of support. Swing by, check out Copper Custom, and we will talk to you guys soon.